Evening. With less than 10 games to go now for teams in the Football League, it's all about coping with the pressure at this stage of the season, as 3 managers found to their cost in the last week, with Burton, Macclesfield and Rotherham all opting for a change in management. Well, Steve's here to look at the best of this weekend's 33 games, and here's a taster of what's coming up tonight. Reading started the day in second, but the games aren't getting any easier for the division's informed side. They took on playoff chasers Blackpool, who are aiming to derail the Royals' promotion charge. Keeping an eye on events from the Madejski were Southampton and West Ham. The Saints welcomed Doncaster on Saturday, while the Hammers were on the road at Burnley. It was a big day for Nigel Pearson, with the Leicester boss up against his old club Hull, both sides harbouring hopes of reaching the playoffs.
Plus, we're right in the thick of it with the Football League's bottom club, Dagenham and Redbridge, as John Still and his team face another crucial game in the fight for survival against Accrington Stanley.
Yeah, real fly-on-the-wall stuff from Clemmit. More on that a little later. First, though, to the promotion battle at the top of the Championship. A second-place Reading took on Blackpool, who began the day in 5th. 9 wins in 11 and moved the Royals into the automatic promotion places before coming unstuck to Peterborough midweek. As for Blackpool, well, Ian Holloway's side knew that victory for them would see them close the gap on their opponents to just 7 points. Martin Fisher was at the Madejski for us.
Wembley playoff losers in May. Reading hope they've timed their run just right to grab one of the automatic spots this time. The feeling here is that Tuesday's defeat was a blip. They're determined to resume normal service this afternoon, and normal service here recently has been winning. But it's never easy against Blackpool, frustratingly inconsistent of late. However, on their day, one of the most dangerous teams around in the Championship. A hamstring injury rules out Jason Roberts, who's had such an impact since he signed for Reading. 19-year-old Benica Fobe makes an immediate debut just days after signing on loan from Arsenal. Sean Cummings returns at right back. Ian Holloway rings the changes again. Sylvestre, Basham, Cathcart and Loa all recalled. Kevin Phillips starts his 3rd game in a week, and why not? He scored 4 in the other 2. Ian Hart with the throw. McAnuff makes himself available. McAnuff with his first chance to have a run at Baptiste. Decent looking ball in as well. Kebe shot. Oh! At the back post, Noel Hunt couldn't supply the finish. What an escape for Blackpool inside the opening minute. Bringing it clear for Blackpool, but it was a poor pass out of defence. It's Kebe looking to twist and turn away from Koenig, and the shot is off target. Hart missed it completely. Loa into the space which he vacated. Hart's deflection, Cummings headed clearance. Kebe taking an entire minute and a half to try and kill that. It's Phillips to shoot, not far wide. Well, it was hesitation from Jimmy Kebe that set up the opportunity maybe here for Blackpool. Phillips, Loa breaking to his right, instead it's left for Taylor Fletcher up against Cummings. Taylor Fletcher goes for the curler. Blackpool beginning to carry a threat themselves going forward. Phillips and Taylor Fletcher at the forefront. In by Gawkes, out by Everett. Ledgerwood's strong challenge, up goes Cathcart. Everett there again for Blackpool. Just can't put distance on the clearances at the moment. Karashan will keep it moving. Here's Jimmy Kebe. All good defending from Stephen Koenig. It's another Reading corner though. Ian Hart to take. It will be an in-swinging left footer towards the back post. Back in by Ledgerwood. And again, down here for McAnuff to strike against the post, against both posts, and in! Ian Hart, the goal scorer. Blackpool appealing for offside. The flag stays down. Hart's got his second of the season with his right foot too. Well, what about this strike from McAnuff? Against the left post, against the right, and just when Blackpool thought they got lucky, they saw the ball roll to a very grateful Ian Hart, who even with his weaker foot couldn't miss that chance. 30 minutes gone, Reading take the lead, and it's Ian Hart the goal scorer. Driven deep by Hart, almost reached Ledgerwood. Off the head of Taylor Fletcher and behind for another corner. Reading racking them up now. This is corner number 4. And they've taken it already. The short one. McAnuff and Ledgerwood. McAnuff again. In towards Pearce, who's onside and scores! Where was the Blackpool marking? Goal number 5 for Alex Pearce. Normal service has been restored at the Medeski. 2 goals in the space of 5 minutes, and they're on course for another home victory. McAnuff with the delivery, and who was supposed to be picking up Pearce? The build-up was slow. Blackpool switched off, and Pearce guides it into the far corner of Matt Gilks' goal. Loa. Baptiste in support. Loa picks out Taylor Fletcher. Here's Phillips. Showed too much of that to Ledgerwood. Craney square. Loa. Can Blackpool get something back before half-time? Loa! They certainly can! What a fantastic strike! Lamano Tresor Loa with a brilliant drive that has Federici grasping thin air and has Blackpool back in the game. Karashan couldn't get close enough. Loa got plenty of dip and a hell of a lot of power in this drive, and Blackpool have done it again. They keep up their record of scoring in every game in 2012. Now for Sylvestre. Baptiste. Taylor Fletcher. Lovely. Baptiste. Real chance. Phillips! Oh! How did he miss that? Of all the people you would want that kind of chance to fall to, it is Kevin Phillips. Blackpool will feel they should have been level here. Wonderful football. That was a shot, but it turned into a fabulous centre. And Kevin Phillips from almost under the bar clears the bar. And that is the last bit of action from a very entertaining first half. Kevin Phillips on the stroke of half-time almost made it 2-2, although he was in an offside position. The flag was raised. No changes to either team. Here's Hunt. Now McAnuff with a chance to centre. Decent ball for Keve, unmarked. Well, a very similar start to the first half. Keve finding space and Reading not profiting fully. John Medeski, no longer the owner at Reading, but the stadium will still carry his name. A magnificent job he has done in establishing this club. And the dream is to get them back into the top flight. Baptiste. Nice football again from the visitors. Taylor Fletcher. Over the top for Baptiste. Lovely play. Phillips waits far post. In goes Phillips! Didn't quite get the purchase on it. He's had several chances today, yet to find a finish. Nice movement by Hunt, clipped by Baptiste, who needs to be careful. He's the only player that's been booked so far today. Just the free kick given. No further punishment for Blackpool or their right back. Ledgerwood, free header, 3-1. Not for the first time today. I asked the question, where was the marking? And Ledgerwood has scored for the second successive Saturday at the Medeski. Scored in the 3-1 win here against Leicester a fortnight ago, and he's made it 3-1 here. And Brian McDermott has a 2-goal cushion again. Gently floated in by Hearts. Ledgerwood, completely unmarked, guides it into the far corner.
We defended well, and I thought we passed the ball well. We attacked with real good tempo. And to go in 2-0, obviously they went in, they scored a really, really good goal. It was a fantastic strike from their guy, and we scored a fantastic goal, the third goal just before it's sort of 70 minutes or whatever it was. So we're happy. It's a really good win against a good side.
Lots and lots of aspects of the game we're getting really good. We're doing very well, and then the simplest things, when a free kick's given, the ball's floated in our box and it seems as though we're like a bunch of statues. So disappointed, it's frightening. I had a feeling that the first two might have been offside. Thought it was really close, I wasn't happy with the fourth official or the linesman or the referee, to be honest, by half time, so I had to shut my face. But in the end of the day, we huffed and we puffed and we did nothing really. Unfortunately, I thought we were better side at the start of the game, passed it and created a couple. But if you can't deal with set pieces like that, then you don't deserve to do anything.
Ian Holloway is furious with his team's defending for your goal. Were you surprised at how much space you'd got?
I was actually. I got in a couple of times. No one seemed to pick me up, and obviously great delivery from Harty. He's been doing that all season, and I was obviously delighted to get on the end of it.
It is so tight in and around that playoff zone, isn't it? It's really a case of who gets their form right between now and the end of April.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we continue to do things like that, it won't be us, will it?
Yeah, Ollie's certainly not mincing his words there, but as far as Reading are concerned, despite their midweek setbacks, Steve, goes to show you can't keep a good side down at the minute in Reading.
No, I mean, absolutely. We know, I think probably 9 times out of 10 you know what you're going to get from Reading.
Yeah.
We said before, they're a consistent side, they know their jobs and they do it, and they clearly did that well today.
Fair to say, as Ollie mentioned as well, they didn't help themselves exactly, did they? And it was highlighted with that last goal from Ledgerwood. Well,
no, I mean, on both occasions, certainly from dead ball situations, one from the corner with Pearce and now with Ledgerwood, I mean, the marking is absolutely non-existent. And this is basic defending. This is just somebody. This is a centre midfielder who was a centre half before he went to Reading. So you would think, hold on, he's a big lad, he's decent in the air, he's got to be marked. And yet, only at the very end do we see a defender actually coming in and making a challenge. And by that time, it's too late. We saw it with Pearce with the first goal, and we see it again now. And that is just basic defending. I've got a job to do, and that is to mark someone, and until the danger is gone, I have to see that job out. They didn't do that.
It's interesting as well, because Ledgerwood he's been joined at Reading by his former QPR teammates in the likes of Casper Gawkes and Matthew Connolly, who went up with QPR last season. Their experience will surely help this Reading squad as they fight for automatic promotion.
I mean, undoubtedly. I mean, what did they play in? They played in the defence that I think kept 26 clean sheets last year. So they're good players at this level. You know what you're going to get from Reading. As I said, I think they're in that respect. I mean, they don't change too much. They don't change the shape or the balance of the side. They keep that pretty familiar. I think, as I said, everybody knows their jobs. They have a consistency there. They've managed to stay relatively injury-free. They've got good players to come in if anything does happen. So they're looking in good shape.
What about Blackpool? I mean, they've conceded 18 and 8 now. So despite their free-flowing approach with their front three, they're starting to wobble at the back, aren't they?
Well, I mean, on the contrary to what I've said about Reading, where you probably a manager knows what he's going to get every Saturday, Ollie possibly doesn't. And in a game like that, you haven't been opened up. It's not like the team that the team that are playing
basic stuff.
Against you. Yeah, basic defending. That's all it is. A man has his job to do. You do it. You see it through, and then we move on.
Ollie will certainly be working them hard in training in the week, that's for sure. Well, that win for Reading keeps up the pressure on the leaders Southampton and West Ham. On Saturday, Nigel Adkins' Saints went in search of their 15th win at Fortress St Mary's against Doncaster.
Promotion beckons by the week for Southampton, especially after 11 games unbeaten and 6 wins from the last 7 for Nigel Adkins' team. The former Doncaster striker Billy Sharp, signed to pep up the push back to the Premier League, started for the first time in a month. Rovers have certainly missed him. Dean Saunders' side have managed only one win in the league since Sharp left. How different it could have been if Freddie Picquion had got that header on target. Inevitably though, the stage was set for Sharp to make his mark. Almost an hour had been played when the striker headed only his second Saints goal to remind Doncaster what they're lacking. In fact, Sharp had the chance to make it a double immediately afterwards, but he didn't get his aim just right. When Doncaster last visited St Mary's, they claimed their first ever victory there, but Sharp made sure that wouldn't happen again, albeit with assistance from Habib Bey. Sharp's second of the match clinched the points and earned him a booking for over-celebrating. Southampton, though, are now 9 points clear of third place West Ham. These two teams look to be heading in opposite directions.
It's part of my job to score goals. It's unlucky for them that it's against them, but I had to do that today, and Southampton are paying me my wages now, and I'm glad I've scored the goals today.
2 good goals. I know what he can do. He's come in, he's worked very, very hard behind the scenes. We've got some exceptionally good football players here, some exceptionally good strikers, and he's had to wait and work very, very hard, and today he's gone and capitalised on that.
Typical, innit? Billy Sharp scores 2. We sell Billy to Southampton, comes back and haunts us.
West Ham may possess the best away record in the Championship, but they still sat outside the automatic promotion places ahead of their trip to Turf Moor to face Burnley. The Clarets had managed to win just 1 of their 5 games in 2012 and nearly got off to the worst possible start, but they were let off the hook by Carlton Cole, who couldn't quite get to grips with the angle. Burnley midfielder Marvin Bartley was born in Reading and may have done his hometown club a huge favour when he weaved through the West Ham defence and just about found a finish. And having supplied the vital pass for Burnley's opener, Martin Patterson kneed in his first goal of 2012. Burnley well on course to burst West Ham's promotion bubble. When Kevin Nolan's header was ruled out for a mystery infringement, it looked like the Hammers would succumb to a first defeat since January. Then Carlton Cole somehow missed from all of a yard. Kevin Nolan missed from 2. And at this stage, it certainly looked like being one of those days. A frenetic first half ended with the home side almost extending their lead further. Ross Wallace denied by the width of the post. Sam Allardyce said he was stunned to be 2 goals down at the break, but 2 goals in 2 minutes turned the match around. First, Kevin Nolan's deft touch gave the Hammers hope, before Mark Noble's free kick found the head of Nicky Maynard and the right boot of unlikely scorer James Tompkins. They might well have returned to East London with all 3 points had Sam Baldock taken a late chance. But West Ham are now 4 points shy of Reading in second after a 5th successive draw.
We're disappointed with the goals we conceded because they're both avoidable. But in the end, we've played against a top side. We've got a point. From our point of view, it should have been 3, but that's football for you.
We scored a lot of goals away from home at Watford and Forest and Blackpool and places like that, But we didn't create as many chances as we created today, and we've only got 2. And that's having to come back from 2-0 down when we didn't deserve that, really. But it is a massive disappointment for us having done so much today to win a game and not win it.
There was little doubt who was the hero at the City Ground following Forest's 7-3 thrashing of Leeds in midweek. There were great expectations surrounding 4-goal Gareth McCleary for more of the same against Brighton. And Steve Cottrell's side had the majority of the chances and were unlucky not to take a first half lead from Andy Reid's free kick. Into the second half, Forest held the upper hand, but Sam Vokes had other ideas to head Brighton in front just after the hour. That man McCleary was keen to maintain his scoring streak, and Brighton keeper Peter Brezovan had to be lively to save after McCleary's shot was deflected. Whereas Forest had found the net at will at Leeds on Tuesday, luck was definitely against them this time. Adelaine Guadiora was the second home player to hit the post. And shortly afterwards, the woodwork proved Brighton's last line of defence yet again. This time a spot of pinball ended with Ishmael Miller's tame effort, somehow evading all obstacles except the far post. Brighton looked to be heading for victory, until in stoppage time their day started to unravel. Substitute Matt Sparrow marked his first appearance since his red card against Leicester in early February with another He'd picked up 2 yellows in the space of 20 minutes. That dismissal proved costly because 4 minutes into time added on, Brighton's 3 points became 1 as Forest equalised through defender Joel Lynch. And you can guess who was by far the happier of the two managers.
We were good value for the 3 points today. Didn't get that little bit of luck. Hit the post twice, just didn't get that little bit of luck, but played very, very well. I thought there was an excellent team spirit about us. To score such a late goal, it would have been easy to have knocked off and just accepted a 1-0 home defeat. They didn't do that. I thought the fans were tremendous today. And between them and the players and their spirit, that's what's got us a result.
I'm not pleased at all. We had an excuse in the last 2 or 3 games away from home. That was the pitch. Today the pitch was perfect, so there is no even an excuse. So we need to sort out a few things away from home because I don't like it.
Promotion-chasing Middlesbrough had won just 2 of their last 7 home games going into their clash with relegation candidates Bristol City, who had failed to win 10 of their last 11. However, the Robins had never lost at the Riverside. Hogan Ephraim has already played Premier League and League One football this season. This was his Bristol City debut, having signed on loan from QPR on Thursday. He marked it with a 13th minute goal as his side went in search of their first away point of 2012. Dean Gerken in the visitors' goal was a virtual spectator for much of the first half. He was at his busiest watching Lukas Jutkiewicz miss the target as Borough were booed off at the break. Back in early December when the two sides met at Ashton Gate, Middlesbrough's French midfielder Mallory Martin scored a last-minute winner. His first goal since was well worth the wait, 9 minutes after the break. Tony Mowbray might have expected his side to push on and claim 3 points for the first time in 4 games, especially when Ryan McGiven brought down Jutkiewicz with a quarter of an hour to play. Referee Colin Webster deemed McGiven to be the last man, and he had to go, but Borough were frustrated in their attempts to make the extra man count.
I've had the benefit of seeing it again. I do think that Ryan McGiven, when trying to get in the cover, has slipped and he's collided with Jutkiewicz, so you can understand why the decision been made, but I thought the referee should have been allowed to make that decision on his own.
No excuses from us. We probably just weren't good enough today to get the 3 points. Again, like a lot of teams, it's the 3rd game in a week. It's hard to find the intensity, both mentally and physically, required to play at the top of your game.
Yeah, good point that for Bristol City, as Middlesbrough's home form continues to stumble along. It was almost written in the stars, Steve, wasn't it, for Billy Sharp to score against his former club?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a sort of bit of a stop-start for him so far at Southampton, but this was obviously 2 big goals to win the game, particularly at this stage of the season.
It was only his 4th start as well, so you've got to credit him for... He hasn't let his head drop.
No, absolutely. I mean, he did get a move once before, I think, at Sheffield United, and it didn't really work out the way that we would imagine, but these are 2 decent goals. Header, he's decent in the air for a little lad, and he shows real strength there to get on the end of that, and a good finish.
As for the race for automatic promotion, it's 2 of 3 now. Well, this is the run-in as far as Southampton, West Ham and Reading are concerned. Who's got the hardest, who's got the easiest?
Well, you'd probably, on the face of it, look at it and say Reading have probably got the hardest. And I would imagine Southampton, looking at that, no disrespect, have probably got the easiest.
Look at the away games Reading have got to face.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult at this stage of the season to say what's difficult and what's not, because invariably you'll get surprises, you'll get teams that overperform. Some teams like to play with no pressure, and some teams don't. So it'll be interesting exactly who takes their eye off the ball and who doesn't. What you can say is, we saw it last year when 3 teams broke away. I think we had Cardiff in the Championship, Huddersfield in League One and Shrewsbury in League Two, who just missed out. They were the breakaway teams. Just missed out on automatic, and none of them went up through the playoffs. It was
a psychological thing, and being deflated.
So
and
that's not. It's not. Not something that you won't want to be the odd man out when 3 go clear.
Well, as for the rest of the Championship, we start with 2 teams with top 6 aspirations. For Leicester City, who began the day in 12th, it's at the now or never stage in terms of a playoff push, while Hull went into this one just 2 points away from 6th. It was a big day for Leicester boss Nigel Pearson, of course, who was facing the club he left back in November. The Foxes made one change to the side that was held to a 3-3 draw with Blackpool in midweek, with Ben Marshall in for the injured Richie Wellens. Hull, meanwhile, made 2 changes. Corey Evans and Cameron Stewart replaced Robert Corrin and Robbie Brady. Commentary from Jonathan Ledyard.
Dans. Frights away, found by Carney. Still Fryatt, and Fryatt has opened the scoring. It's 1-0 Hull. Matty Fryatt, great pace, great determination. St Ledger was at his shoulder, but he couldn't stop it going in. Got away from his man. Schmeichel drawn, not enough. Nugent. Dyer, first real chance to run now at Dawson. Oh, look at that! The equaliser comes, and didn't he take it well? Nothing looked on, but suddenly the left foot was unleashed, and Manoni beaten at his far post. Marshall, let's go. Oh, and scores! It looked as if there was a deflection, but what a shot! He did it against Chelsea and Petr Cech last week, and it just looped over Manoni. It's 2 goals in a minute for Leicester, and they had the lead. Manoni helpless. Dyer. Past Dawson. This is how he scored the first goal. He's still Dyer! Well, there was a let-off there for Hull, and they can't say they haven't been warned. Past Dawson. McKenna. Ooh! Now that wasn't a great challenge by Dans. 2 full-blooded committed challenges, and Dans looked to be off the ground there with both feet. McKenna got up, but Nigel Miller has a decision to make here. Beckford's getting involved. It's a red card, and the Leicester captain is off. Dawson. Brady! Off the post. Still not clear. Wonderful header there by Brady, not picked up. Good corner, good contact. Schmeichel nowhere. Beckford, and Drinkwater's away. Away from his man, needs good contact. Didn't quite get a good block though by Manoni. Did the hard part, away from Chester, just didn't quite get the volley as sweet as he would have wanted. Bamba, still Bamba. Oh, against the post, Manoni was nowhere. Just seemed content to watch that. Let it fly, just didn't get the contact right again.
I think that both players going for the ball and the fashion that they did, you know, I mean, I don't know, we'll have to have a look at the footage on that one, but the most important thing today was that the players apply themselves in a way in which we give ourselves a very good chance of winning the game. So all in all, a very good day for us.
The thing is, playing against 10 men, it is difficult. Any manager or any players will say that, you know, when you've got a wall in front of you, but it's up to us to be good enough to break that wall down.
I'd end up having holiday, wouldn't I, while you're here next game. See you, everybody.
Yeah, well done, Neil, well done. Neil Warnock's Leeds travel to Millwall, desperate to consign memories of their midweek 7-3 drubbing at the hands of Forest to the history books. They were hoping the Den would prove a good place to come to banish those memories. Millwall yet to win at home in 2012. Things haven't gone exactly to plan since Warnock took over, but midway through the second half, Ross McCormack did his bit to resurrect any faint hopes of a playoff place. It was his 16th league goal of the season. The Lions had won their previous 4 home matches against Leeds and thought they'd levelled this one through Harry Kane, but referee Lee Probert had already given a penalty for Alex Bruce's challenge on Andy Keogh. Andy Lonergan, the man to ship 7 on Tuesday, produced a stunning save here to keep out Darius Henderson. James Henry's corner was met by a thumping Paul Robinson header late on, but this time the woodwork intervened. You can't help but think the clean sheet would have been just as satisfying as the victory for Warnock, whose side sit only 3 points off the playoffs. Millwall still without a home win in the league this year.
A lot of passion in our play and a lot of quality as well. To get nothing out of the game is a tough pill to swallow, but we have to swallow it, we have to move on. There's nothing we can do about what happened here today.
Derby supporters were feeling the loss of captain Sean Barker. He'll be out for a year through a knee injury suffered at Forest 11 days ago. County still have hopes of a last-ditch challenge for a playoff place, starting 8 points off the top 6. What they needed was a repeat of last season's 5-0 scoreline, and Nigel Clough's men were off to a flyer, thanks to Steve Davis and his 9th goal of the season. Moments later, top scorer Theo Robinson came within an inch of doubling the home side's advantage with this spectacular effort. That was just a sighter for what was to follow later. Derby were looking for their 4th win in 6 league matches, and that seemed all the more likely just before the half hour. Jeff Hendrick made it 2-0, his first goal since September. Dougie Freedman's men hadn't given up hopes of a playoff place themselves, but Palace fans were fearing the worst when Anthony Gardner handled this cross from Gareth Roberts. Penalty, and this time there was no denying Robinson. That was the 11th of the campaign for Robinson, and another 5-goal haul looked to be on the cards. That was until Palace retrieved something from the match 11 minutes from time, with surely the oddest goal of the day. Referee Mick Russell awarded a free kick for what he deemed to be a back pass handled by Frank Fielding. Glenn Murray then set up Chris Martin to score the 6th goal of his loan spell from Norwich. And what had looked to be a stroll to victory for the home side suddenly became a nervy scramble. Darren Ambrose fired in this 90th minute effort, but it wasn't enough to deprive Derby of victory.
We were comfortable with 3-0 up, 15 minutes to go. I think a little bit too comfortable, looking at the players. But I mean, we're a bit sloppy, and we've got a goal away, and unfortunately they've got another one, and it was a bit tight at the end. We were waiting for the final whistle. Full credit to Crystal Palace, they kept going.
Derby done well, they started very well and put us in the back foot, but as you say, our guys grown into the game. Showed a tremendous attitude to keep on going, which is good to see, and as I say, we look forward to the next game quickly.
Two teams separated in the table by goal difference, both unbeaten in their last 5 and still eyeing a possible late push for the playoff places. Watford, though, were looking for their 5th straight win over Ipswich. The Tractor Boys are one of the form teams in the Championship, having suffered only 2 losses in their last 12. And Paul Jewell's side continued their good form early on at Vicarage Road. J. Emmanuel Thomas taking advantage of some poor defending from the Hornets' Carl Dickinson. Just when it seemed Ipswich might be heading towards their 6th away win of the season, the home side battled back and drew level with 20 minutes left. Sean Murray picking up the pieces to grab his 4th goal in 5 games. Ipswich barely threatened in the second half, but had themselves to blame, or even just Carlos Edwards, for gifting Watford a winner. Troy Deeney gratefully accepted the chance to score his 7th of the season. The Hornets now just 6 points shy of the playoffs.
I think Big Chris Ubaluma was excellent second half, but it was also the reminders to the lads at half time. We spoke about the fact that we hadn't played well in the first half, of course, but we also reminded ourselves about what we do well.
We didn't play well second half. I thought first half we created a host of opportunities, got 1 goal, could have arguably had 3 or 4, but we didn't.
Barnsley were in need of a pick-me-up when Peterborough came to town. Played 4, lost 4, goals 4, 0. Not a record to bring a smile to Keith Hill over the last 3 weeks. But there was at least one reason to be cheerful among the Oakwell faithful. Midway through the first half, Matt Dunn measured his cross, and David Cottrell opened his account for the 6th different club of his career, in some style too. 8 minutes later though, and Barnsley had made life a whole lot tougher when Nathan Doyle tangled with Lee Tomlin and was shown the first red card of his career. But despite being a man down, Barnsley did well to restrict the visitors to limited chances in the second half. The closest they came was this header by Emil Sinclair. When these two last played each other in December, Barnsley got the better of a 7-goal thriller. There was no such excitement this time, but the result more than made up for that.
I'm really pleased with not only the result,
but the reflection of the performance, you know, it's getting back to the way that I want to play the game. And sometimes when you're going through the sequence that we've been going through, you try all sorts just to get a result, but you know, just go back to the way that I want to play the game, and out of that we will get results.
Disappointing day, not acceptable. Simple as that. That performance, you drop your standards, that's what you get. We've been far too inconsistent. 9 games away from home now we haven't won 4, and today I felt was a good opportunity, and when it goes to 10 minutes, an even better opportunity, but we just couldn't break them down. We were inept, too slow. A really disappointing performance.
The old cliche relegation 6-pointer was made for matches like these. Coventry, who have spent most of the season in the relegation zone, entertained bottom club Portsmouth, who were looking to build on a surprise midweek win over Birmingham. The Sky Blues were looking to break a run of 4 successive draws, and they came close to taking the lead when Clive Platt tested Jamie Ashdown, who produced a smart save in the Portsmouth goal. Gary McSheffrey quite likes playing at the Ricoh Arena. All 7 of his league goals have come at home. 10 minutes into the second half, he scored his 8th, and potentially most important of the season so far. Chris Maguire had got his Portsmouth goal account up and running with the first in their midweek 4-1 win over Birmingham. Hungry for another, he tried his luck here as Pompey enjoyed a good spell of possession. Then a Sammy Klingon missile further tested Ashdown's agility. But it was Maguire once again the main threat for Pompey, as his free kick left Joe Murphy standing and the post shaking. The odds on these two meeting up in League One next season lengthened when Oliver Norwood exposed the Portsmouth defence 13 minutes from time. The Manchester United loanee scoring his 2nd goal in as many games. Pompey kept battling, but it just wasn't to be their day. George Thorne tried his luck, but Joe Murphy parried to safety. Coventry still in the bottom 3, but now just a point from safety, and with a 5-point cushion over Portsmouth.
It's a massive win for us. You know, we've made this place really difficult for teams to come to. You know, we built up a bit of momentum over the last month, and you know, we've only lost 1 in 8 here, and we've won plenty, and we're right in the mix there.
Yeah, 4 draws and a win for Coventry, and they're just starting to gather momentum against all the odds.
Picking up points, you know, not losing games of football, which is vital. I mean, you know, sides at the bottom who simply aren't winning games of football, and that's why they're able to make up ground. So, yeah, they're giving themselves a real chance.
I think for the Leeds players, Saturday was all about restoring pride, wasn't it, after what happened in midweek?
Well, they should be used to this. I mean, we've you know, had a little look back over the season, and it's not the first time they were hammered. I mean, they got beat by Blackpool 5-0 and won the next game 1-0. Barnsley 4-1 and won the next game 2-1. And Birmingham City 4-1, and won the next game 3-0. So they are used to coming back. The art is not to let the bad run continue.
No.
They don't do that. They do change things and get things together very, very quickly.
Yeah.
It's a big result, and all of a sudden, they're one of those teams just on the edge that are teasing their fans, aren't they? Because last week everyone thought they'd blown it, and this week everyone's going, actually, we've got a little bit of a squeeze.
There's a few teams who are doing that,
Yeah,
Leicester being one of them.
Yes,
back
absolutely.
to the Wolves' performance against Hull. Just when you're ruling them out of the playoffs, they come back with a performance like this.
Well, I think it's one back-to-back win all season.
It's infuriating.
I can imagine, you know, I mean, it must drive Nigel mad, because, as you say, just keep thinking they've turned the corner, all of a sudden they're putting a bad one and knock themselves back. So, yeah, I mean, a little bit of consistency. We know the players have got, we know what they're capable of at Leicester. There's no doubt about it. They spent an awful lot of money you know, on some good players. There's no reason why, if they can't put a run together come the end of the season, to be there or thereabouts.
When it's not mathematically possible, that's when they give up, ultimately, their fans, I think. Derby are also in the same boat, I suppose. 4 wins from 6 now for them, with what isn't an experienced side, it has to be said, and they're looking up now.
Another 2, put them in the same bracket, don't we? You know, a team that at times are flattered to deceive, but all of a sudden, if they get a little bit of a run and they get some sort of consistency in their game, you know, they might give themselves an outside chance as well. I think they've played a couple of games more than some of the teams around them, so it's an outside chance at best. But what you want to be doing is finishing the season strong and giving yourself something to go into next year in a positive sense.
Incidentally, good luck to Sean Barker, who faces 12 months on the sidelines, their captain. And for Watford, they may be 22 goals worse off than this stage last season, but they're 2 points shy of where they were in the last campaign. Incredible.
Well, I mean, sometimes we see at other clubs, I mean, a little bit like Cardiff, where Cardiff haven't got the ammo going forward, so they've got to strengthen other areas, and that's what they've done. And he's done a fantastic job, Sean Dyche, under very, very difficult conditions, losing your top scorer, one of your better players, right at the last minute, then having to reform. And as I said, I mean, they've had a great year so far, and long may it continue.
Right, let's get to League One then. And after 3 games without a win, Charlton returned to winning ways in midweek to maintain their 9-point lead at the top of the table. Their latest quest for 3 points took them to West Yorkshire and 4th-placed Huddersfield.
Back in November, Charlton put a stop to Huddersfield's 43-match unbeaten record. The key to victory that time was keeping Jordan Rhodes in check. But you can't keep the country's leading scorer quiet for too long. Ben Hamer denied him that time, but the Charlton keeper wouldn't be so lucky just 3 minutes later. Darryl Russell's trip on Gary Roberts gave Rhodes the chance to enter the history books. His 35th goal of the campaign, breaking a post-war record previously held by Ewan Roberts. But he still needs one more to break the all-time record. He almost got it when he latched onto Lee Novak's goal-bound header. As for Charlton, they still remain in the box seat to take the title, but are struggling to put wins together to see them over the finish line. Their frustration perhaps summed up when Russell lashed out at Anthony Kay. Chris Powell's men reduced to 10 men with just over half an hour left to play, but ultimately they came up short in their bid to avoid their first away defeat of the year. The bounce of the ball getting the better of Leon Court as Huddersfield claimed a crucial win.
I thought we were very solid defensively, probably worked their goalkeeper a little bit more than they worked ours, but ultimately it's about grinding results out and getting 3 points, and I'm delighted to have done that, because this week we've had 2 clean sheets and taken 6 points in 2 difficult games, and delighted with that.
A dose of deja vu for Raider Johnson. The defender got the only goal when Wednesday defeated Orient in November. He did the same here. A month ago, automatic promotion looked beyond Wednesday, but 4 wins out of 5 have taken Dave Jones' side into the top 2. Despite Michael Antonio's miss, Wednesday were comfortable winners in East London. O's fans probably also feel they've lived through this experience once or twice before. This was Orient's 5th home defeat of 2012. George Porter's deflected shot, unlikely to relieve the sense of gloom in E10.
Adams Park was no easy place for MK Dons to pursue their promotion ambitions. Gary Waddock's Wickham have rallied over the past month, and even gifting the visitors a gilt-edged chance to take the lead wasn't going to get them down. Marvin McCoy's foul on Alan Smith, but thanks to Nicky Bull's agility and bravery, Jay O'Shea stayed off the scoresheet. Lifted by their escape, Wickham went in search of their own opener, Stuart Bevan breaking clear of the Dons' defence. The prolific striker was disappointed with his finish, and even more so straight after the break, as Daniel Powell reminded him how it should be done. Before the Dons could build on the advantage, Wickham were back on the attack, and Ben Strevens found himself some space inside the 6-yard box. His instinctive flick just too high. Wickham then forced to wait for that precious equaliser, which finally arrived 2 minutes into added time. Bevan with a beauty. His 22nd goal of the season means the strugglers have gone 5 unbeaten.
In the words of Greg Abbott, a defining week for Carlisle. The trip to Essex marking the start of a testing sequence against 3 of their promotion rivals. Martin Rowlands finished off a slick Colchester move early in the second half to boost his own side's prospects. But John Ward's men were soon heading for a 5th successive draw, and one that leaves them 6 points adrift of the playoff places. James Berrett leaving several used defenders in his wake to finish superbly. His 8th of the campaign leaves Colchester with a lot to do.
We've just played sort of 4 out of the top 6 teams, drawn with them all, and shown there's not a lot of sort of space between us and them, but we just can't find the win in either of the games. We've probably been frustrated in at least 2 of those, Huddersfield and a bit more today, but Carlisle are a good side and we've stood up to them, and I think 2 teams have put on a good game of football today.
Frustration is the overriding emotion for both Walsall and Stevenage at the moment. Andy Butler gave the Saddlers the lead in this one with only 3 minutes gone. A win would have taken Walsall out of the relegation zone, but for the 3rd game in a row, Dean Smith's side surrendered the lead. Michael Bostwick's leveller made it 3 draws in a row for Stevenage, who for their part missed a 3rd successive opportunity to climb into the top 6. The destiny of these 2 sides remains very much undecided.
It's a frustrating result because we wanted to get the 3 points. The game turned out pretty much as I expected it to. I mean, we was hoping that our 4 midfielders would get on the ball and if it was a real football game, it would be the winner. But you have to give Stevenage credit. They're hard working, they're physical, and they stopped our footballers getting on it.
One thing you can say for Scunthorpe, they're certainly consistent. Alan Neal's men have racked up 5 draws in a row, though they had a few close shaves against Notts County. Alan Judge thwarted twice in quick succession in the second half, first by the post and then the reflexes of keeper Sam Slocum. Keith Curl's side would have jumped back into the playoff places with a win after the dip in form that brought 2 defeats on the trot, but it simply wasn't going to be their day. Lee Hughes also shaking the woodwork as the scoreline remains stubbornly goalless.
Been a good few days for Oldham. A midweek success over Hartlepool followed by another win that should erase any fears of being sucked into trouble. Chris Taylor finished off a flowing move to settle the contest against a Bournemouth side hoping to avoid a 3rd successive defeat on the road. Lee Bradbury felt his team had turned a corner ahead of their Boundary Park visit and beaten in 2 outings, having lost the previous 5. Miles Addison went close to snatching a point, but Kieran Lee's terrific goal line clearance sent the Oldham fans home happy.
The Bees are back among the goals. Since Gary Alexander's departure, Brentford had failed to score in 3 matches. Against Rochdale, Tumani Diaguraga broke that barren run just after the half-hour mark. He fired home after Clayton Donaldson struck a post. Having gone 12 games without finding the net, Donaldson himself has also been enduring a lean spell. He ended it in spectacular style. An improbable headed finish gave the striker only his 2nd goal since October.
Yeovil made most of the running at Hewish Park, where Hartlepool had Scott Flinders to thank for making sure the sides went to the break still level. The keeper pulling off a string of fine saves. Pool's main problems lately have been at the other end. They hadn't scored in their last 4 outings, but that drought was over when Sunderland loanee Ryan Noble volleyed home, inflicting Yeovil's first home defeat of 2012.
Having failed to hit the net in 3 previous Deepdale outings, Preston turned to Arsenal loanee Chuck Zaniki to end the goal drought. The 18-year-old was thrown straight in for his debut against Bury and came up with the goods. That strike midway through the second half appeared to have sentenced Bury to a 5th successive away defeat, but that would have been harsh on the strugglers, who in Richie Barker's view deserved to take maximum points. In the end, the Bury boss had to settle for just 1. After pinball in the box, David Amu clattered the woodwork and Latif Elford Aliou found himself in just the right spot to grab a dramatic equaliser.
Tranmere's resurgence continues. Not even this shocker from Ryan Brunks could knock Rovers out of their stride. Ronnie Moore's return to Prenton Park has produced 14 points out of a maximum 18. Josh Labadie's superb opener is a measure of Rovers' growing confidence. When Moore took over, Tranmere and Exeter were both on 34 points. The 2 sides have headed in opposite directions since then. Jake Cassidy's 2nd goal in 4 days confirmed 5 defeats in a row for the Grecians, who are now 6 points short of safety.
So Ronnie Moore's terrific run continues at Tranmere, but Exeter in real trouble. As for Huddersfield, they're still in the mix for a top 2 finish, Steve, come the end of the season. Jordan Rhodes now into the record books for a new post-war record. And he's beaten a man at the Gow Farm who you rate very highly.
Well, I actually played with him, of course. Ewan Roberts, he's a fantastic footballer, so you know it's quite an accolade. And they've kept a clean sheet in a big game, haven't they, Huddersfield? You know what I mean? It's really important when you're at the stage of the season. They know they've got goals in them. If they keep a clean sheet, they've got every chance of winning a game of football. That's what they've done.
Jordan's certainly got a better smile than Ewan.
He's got more teeth.
It's fair to say, yeah, he's got more teeth. As for Sheffield Wednesday, 5 wins in 7 under Dave Jones. It's all about taking your chance when particularly your City rivals, who happen to be your nearest rivals in the league table, aren't playing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it puts a little bit of pressure. As we said, we've seen this time and time again where one team plays before the other. You know, if you can get yourself a good result, all of a sudden you heap a lot of pressure on that side. And it certainly works to your benefit if you can get the right result, which they've got.
And they're not resting on their laurels. Niall Ranger, Keith Tracy there, they look like 2 good signings.
Well, big clubs, Sheffield Wednesday, aren't they? So you know, those sorts of players that they can bring. That's that's the advantage they have over other teams at that level. But also, when you're a big club, there's added pressure as well, isn't there?
Now, your take of what's going on at Preston: 2 wins in 13 under Graham Wesley. Interestingly, I heard him talk about the pitch being wider than he's used to at Broadhall when he was at Stevenage.
Yeah.
Should that come into the reckoning for a manager? Does he have to adapt his team accordingly?
I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think that is the
well, they're struggling to score goals. That's their primary concern.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably because he's a little bit different to what they've had before, and I would imagine that too many of the players would have played under the way that he wants that team to play, the way that he wants them to manage. Whether or not he's still got them there late in the afternoon and long days and long sessions, and the way that he wants to manage, I don't know. But sometimes what works at one club sometimes doesn't work at another until you're able to get the sorts of players in that you want and change that personnel around. And if you're going to do that, it's going to take you probably a year to 14 months at least.
Graham doesn't need telling, because obviously he came there with a few fans maybe doubtful of the appointment. He needed to get them on side quickly, which hasn't quite happened.
No, but having said that, they're probably, I don't see this as a short-term appointment. No. I don't think that it's going to be a quick turnaround. He was very, very successful at Stevenage. You can't take anything away that. Yeah, so all of a sudden you don't become a bad manager overnight. But as I said, it's one of those where you get the feeling that he will at some stage need to start turning things around, although I don't think it's going to be in the very near future.
Summer ahead at Deepdale. League 2 now. Second place Torquay had their promotion push interrupted in midweek when they went down to the only team above them in Swindon. Well, with the leaders not in action on Saturday due to Johnston's Paint Trophy commitments on Sunday, Torquay had the chance to make up ground on the Robins when they took on Port Vale.
Martin Ling believes Swindon have already got the title sewn up, but is backing his Torquay team to join them in League One next season. But when John McComb fired Port Vale into the lead, his pre-match prediction appeared slightly premature. After the break, Torquay were back in the groove. Ryan Jarvis thundering Joe Osler's cross against the bar, Stuart Tomlinson reacting sharply to keep out Lee Mansell. But in the space of 5 minutes, Ling's men turned the game on its head. Rennie Howe sent to the deck by Joe Davis, who'd already been booked. As the 18-year-old headed for the showers, Howe got ready to increase the punishment. The big man keeping his cool from the spot to put the hosts on course for a vital victory. Clinched just 3 minutes later when Jarvis outjumped the Vale defence. The gap at the top now down to 4 points.
Shrewsbury had never had much luck at Morecambe without a win in their 5 previous visits. Nick Fenton's glaring miss was the first hint that things might be about to change. And midway through the second half, James Collins was much more clinical. His 13th of the season sweetly struck, and the Shrews on course for their 3rd win in 4. The only blight on the afternoon, John Taylor unwisely following up his obvious foul with an equally pointless headbutt right in front of the referee. The red card made the closing minutes less comfortable for the promotion chasers than they should have been, but Shrewsbury still got what they came for.
Even with their impressive record on the road, Southend won't have been relishing the trip to inform Bristol Rovers. Matthew Lunn served early notice of a difficult afternoon for the Shrimpers. Freddie Eastwood was back in Southend colours, but he couldn't repeat the hat-trick he scored in his first debut. This was a day that Southend may want to forget. In the second half, Mark Phillips came off worst in this clash of heads with Matt Harrold. The central defender had to be substituted soon afterwards and was taken to hospital after passing out on the bench. The reorganised Southend back four looked like hanging on until the game's final moments. But this frantic double challenge on Mustafa Carriel saw referee Carl Berry point to the spot. And with 4 minutes to go, Harold's 14th goal of the season made it 7 home games unbeaten for the rapidly improving Rovers.
Darren Patterson's stint in temporary charge of Rotherham began with a win over Macclesfield in the week. Alex Ravel almost got him off to a flyer at Crawley. The caretaker boss felt his side should have been at least 3 up by the break. Instead, Billy Clark had the Sussex club on top heading into the second half. Despite their lead, the promotion chasers had been far from convincing, but after the restart the Millers struggled to cope with the onslaught. Rhys Taylor pushing the ball into Danny Bullman's path before Jason Taylor mistimed his tackle to put Gary Alexander on the spot. The striker's 18th of the campaign and 4th in 5 matches since joining on loan from Brentford had Crawley in control. Pablo Mills completed the scoring against his old club to secure Crawley their 3rd straight win.
We went in at half time and we had to rattle 1 or 2 people today. We've not to do that for a little while, but since early in the season, so we had to rattle 1 or 2 cages, but the budgies went flying second half, didn't they?
After 4 straight losses, 3 without scoring, Cheltenham simply had to perform against playoff rivals Oxford. Darryl Duffy defied by Ryan Clark's reactions. Nothing's going for Mark Yates' men in front of goal, as Marlon Pack's effort proved. The pair's positions stay the same. Cheltenham 6th, Oxford 7th.
We've just come off the back of 40 defeats, played pretty well in 2 or 3 of them. Sometimes you need a small step before you can get a big step, so 7 games left, point nearer where we wanted to be.
Having slipped into the relegation zone, Hereford now prop up the rest. The Bulls' finishing is that of a side feeling the pressure. Nathan Elder and Sam Clucas both fluffed their lines during a first half that Hereford dominated. Dilroy Facey came on in the second half, but his luck was no better. Steve Phillips' save left Richard O'Kelly still unable to celebrate even a point at home. The last time Crewe won at Edgar Street, their striker Nick Powell wasn't even born. But with Hereford missing chances, a Crewe winner always looked likely. Luke Murphy got it to keep the Railmen within reach of the playoffs.
Well, we didn't play well. In fairness, they were better than us, particularly first half. We only came good really late in the game. Once we settled into the game, took us a little while to do that. But no, it was a performance that I was disappointed with. But the result, obviously, is very pleasing.
Referee Scott Matheson was at the centre of controversy as Gillingham were held at Bradford. The Kent club started brightly in West Yorkshire when Lewis Montrose headed them into a first half lead. And the Gills were nicely on course for maximum points just before the hour. Joe Kuffour spotting the run of Jordan Abita, but Bantam's defender Simon Ramsden beat him to it. There seemed to be no way back for Phil Parkinson's men, but Narky Wells flicked in to put the game back in the balance. The sub on target just minutes after having a goal ruled out, and he was in the thick of things again when Bradford bagged their equaliser. James Hansen's effort was rightly chalked off by the linesman. By the letter of the law, Wells was interfering with play. However, Matheson didn't share the same view, and after a lengthy discussion, the goal was allowed to stand. A slap in the face for Gillingham's promotion prospects.
Paul Pescasolido's sacking had no immediate effect on Burton Albion's slide. They lost their first game under caretaker boss Gary Rowett in midweek, but at least Adam Boulder's early shot suggested they might be able to spring a surprise at Wimbledon. That was a short-lived hope for the travelling fans, who watched their side's backline fall apart after just 9 minutes. Luke Moore couldn't believe his luck. Just the start the Dons wanted after back-to-back league defeats, but it took a long time to make the lead secure. There were just 15 minutes left when the Albion defence stalled Jack Midson's progress, but could do nothing about George Moncur following up. The West Ham loanees first for the club. Burton were heading for their 8th straight defeat, and by the end looked like they'd thrown in the towel. Midson's stoppage time header getting a touch on the line from Byron Harrison to stretch Wimbledon's lead to 3. And there was still time for that to become a flattering 4 thanks to some more laughable Albion defending. Not that the Burton fans will see the funny side with their club in freefall. 16 games without a win. Sammy Moore rounding off this rout.
Sixfield's biggest crowd of the season came to see the suddenly in-form Northampton, but they left disappointed. Tony Silver's miss was as close as the Cobblers came to recording a 5th win out of 6. Plymouth, now unbeaten in 3, will be the happier with their hard-earned points. But the Pilgrims might have had more. After Paul Watton's free kick struck the bar, the Cobblers had enough men back to survive the mother of all goalmouth scrambles.
Brian Horton admits he's got a lot of work to do as he attempts to save Macclesfield from the dreaded drop. One of the teams he's hoping to catch came calling for his first home game in charge. Richard O'Donnell no doubt relieved to see Sam Deering's effort hit the woodwork before getting a vital touch to deny Ben May. Macclesfield's winless run now stands at 18 games in all competitions, but it could have been a lot worse. An amazing miss from League Two's top scorer Isel McLeod let them off the hook as they collected what could prove to be a precious point in the survival race.
So Brian Horton picks up his first point in charge of Macclesfield on Friday. Meanwhile, Torquay's terrific run continues under Martin Ling. They've won 12 of 16. And what a luxury to have, Steve, to pick your 5th unchanged lineup at this stage of the season.
Yeah, I mean, those 5 games that they've been unchanged. I think they've won 3, drawn 1, and they've only got beaten at Swindon. So, you know,
there's no shame in that.
No, absolutely not. I think as well, when you think about the size of the squad, now of course it's important that you keep players fit, because this is not the Premiership we're talking about.
No.
So this, as you say, at this time of the year, it's a welcome bonus to be able to name an unchanged side.
As for Shrewsbury, we know the experience of their manager Graham Turner. Yeah. We know about their terrific home record, but they've had to address their away form. I think they've lost 9 on the road, so to get that away win, which has been eluding them really, to get that on form and on track come the business end is vital for them.
Can be the difference between going up and staying down. Simple as that. You know, your home record almost speaks for itself, whereas if you're talking about going away from home and already this stage of the season lose the amount of games that you have, considering you're unbeaten at home, then it's something that needs to be addressed. And if you're going to address it now while there's still time. I think you're fine. If their away form does continue to pick up a couple more results, then they could well, just missed out last year, could be the team that make it this year.
What about Burton? I mean, they're in the top 7 on Boxing Day. They've now not won in 16. They've lost their last 8.
Yeah.
It's a horrendous run of form.
It just keeps going, doesn't it? I mean, there doesn't seem to be any end to it. I mean, that's not a close game, is it? Being beaten at a mid-table side, you have to say it. At Wimbledon, who've done brilliant this year, but there's no sign of a turnaround. There's no sign of stopping the rot. I think that's what they'll be worried about, and that when a new manager comes in, and he's going to ask you for different things and ask you to perform in a different way, but to continue to get the same results is very, very worrying. I mean, they're probably lucky that they have had a good start of the season, because
getting those points in the bag has been vital for them.
Points, if you're not 4 or 5 points off, they'd be in serious trouble.
OK, well, there's just one game left to bring you from League Two, and it involves Dagenham and Redbridge, who took on Accrington Stanley on Saturday. The Daggers started the day bottom of the table, but this is a club you'll remember that likes to do things against all the odds.
Having played at Hillsborough and St Mary's in League One last season, it's easy to forget that Dagenham and Redbridge have only been in existence for 20 years and didn't make it to the conference until the turn of the millennium. Now, with crucial games ticking away, they've got a fight on their hands to arrest a fall almost as spectacular as their rise. And today, they're going to share it with us.
You learn more about your players when you're 3-0 down than you do when you're 3-0 up. You learn who's got character, you learn who's got backbone, you learn who's got spirit, and you learn who can play under pressure. The club are 100% aware of who we are and what we do. We've had an unbelievably difficult year. Well, we've had unbelievably difficult years before. We've had great years, we've had disappointing years. But every year that we play in the Football League is a plus for this club.
I interviewed you on the pitch the day you came up. You were in tears.
Yeah, it does hurt me. Of course it does, because the club's really, really important to me, and so it probably hurts me perhaps more than another manager. But you know, with the greatest respect, I have to deal with that. You know, that's how it is. You know, if I didn't like it, I would say, well, you know, it's too personal for me. It's not for me. But not at all. You know, it does hurt, and all that does is make me work harder.
Tell me I haven't got your numbers wrong. You don't know you're picking. I was just looking at South, really.
Okay. Same team. Cherry to give the subs. Right, same team. Same attitude. Same desire. Same confidence. And the same winning mentality that we've had, and we've had it. Everyone, you know the responsibility. Let's work with the responsibility. We'll have a chat before we go. Terry, give me the subs.
Okay, guys. Subs: Brian Woodall, Billy Bingham, Dave Hogan, Josh Scott, and Charlie Wasmer. Okay, if you're not involved with that, then you'll be doing some work after the game. Yeah, as soon as the game finishes.
Yeah, let's go. Come on, let's go.
Personally, I'm not going to lie. I've had great times at this football club. I was captain of a side that won at Wembley. One I'll always remember, but it will slightly tarnish it if in 2 years we go the other way.
Remember this. You have a job to do, you do that to the best of your ability, and we won't have any problems. Everyone, the only thing that's important is the team. Yeah? What's the job for the team? Not what's best for me, what's the best for the team. Everybody, team, let's go and do the job. Come on, come on, come on, come on, let's go. Come on, come on, come on. Start sharp. Let's start sharp, mate, come on. Focus, what's the job? Come on. Come on. Come on, guys, come on. Come on. Come on, Mickey. Come on.
There was a promising start for the desperate Daggers. Accrington's Danny Coybe forced to hack Matthew Bowdry's effort off the line in the opening exchanges, before Stanley gradually began to take hold of the game, with Craig Lindfield forcing a panicky clearance. Bobby Grant finding the corner with an inch-perfect finish. That goal right before half-time separated the sides until the final 5 minutes, when Mickey Spillane popped up a cross that appeared to take a slight deflection en route to the alert Brian Woodall. The equaliser was always going to make the end of the match interesting, and the plot thickened in stoppage time as Stanley defender Toto Nsala was punished for an off-camera indiscretion. A straight red for the teenager on loan from Everton, who didn't take kindly to the decision. His 10 remaining teammates were equally unhappy as their good work was undone in the most dramatic fashion. Scott Doe pinching all the points to blast the Daggers off the bottom.
Won't be up yet with it. We've come through there, it'll be like this. We're off the bottom, mate. We're fourth from bottom.
Does anyone tell me the difference first half, second half? Tempo. 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 From almost the first minute of the second half, we had a tempo. We had a belief, we had a desire, we want stand-off. Listen, I know we've got one or two tired bodies. We've been playing Saturday, Tuesday, and they haven't. I understand that. But you've got to push yourself. You've got so much in there. That was a terrific second half performance. Look back to the chat at half time. Look back at it. How disappointed were we? Every week, I don't get, we have to provide that for everyone involved. You've got to give. If you think you're giving everything you've got, I'm telling you, you're not. We have so much. We have fitness, we have discipline, we have organisation, but you've got to do it. You've got to do it. Terrific, everybody. So, in our 10-game season, we've taken 7 points, but we ain't finished. We've got to go on again. We've got to go on again. Well done, everyone. Warm down properly. The runners run, and let's prepare for the next one. Well done, everyone. Well done, guys. Well done.
Yeah, thanks to everyone at Dagenham and Redbridge for allowing us to access all areas. And what a psychological boost, Steve, to come off the bottom of the table.
Well, it's looked. It's been a desperate season. It's been a tough season, but they are in the right hands. There's no doubt about that. John still knows the ropes. He's been there, seen it, and done it before. And as he said, I think he mentioned in his piece, every time this club stays in the division, it's a major achievement. I think it was just over 1,400 people there. Shows you what they're up against.
As you say there, I mean, rarely will you find a manager who eats, sleeps, breathes a football club, and that's clearly what John does.
Absolutely. I mean, he says that his players that if you're going to play for the Daggers, you've got to be a Dagger, you've got to be a special player, you've got to be the type of player that he wants. And as I said, he's been around the block. He knows exactly what he thinks should be capable of playing for that club, who should play for that club, and what is required to play for that club. So you're in good hands, and I think the club's in good hands. And looking at it now, I think they'll be okay. I think they'll stay up.
It's a lot more optimistic, that's for certain. Well, let's have a look then at what all the results on Saturday means in terms of the tables. In NPAL League 2, as we mentioned, Swindon not in action as they face Chesterfield in the Johnston's Paint Trophy final on Sunday. So Torquay cut the gap to 4 points with a win. And third place Shrewsbury also won. Crawley move above Southend with Cheltenham and Oxford playing out a draw on Saturday. As we saw, Dagenham move off the bottom and out of the relegation zone after their win over Accrington, and it's Hereford who dropped to the foot of the table now. Macclesfield slump into the bottom 2 for the first time this season. In League 1, Charlton's defeat sees them stay on 82 points, and Sheffield Wednesday move above their local rivals into second, 8 points behind the Addicts. Huddersfield, MK Dons and Carlisle make up the top 6, and Tranmere's rise continues. They're in the top half now, and that's despite being just 1 point above the relegation zone just 15 days ago. The bottom 3 sides risk being cut adrift from the sides above them, although Chesterfield didn't play on Saturday, of course. In fact, Oldham were the only side in the bottom half to win at the weekend. It was another great day for the top 2 in the Championship, both of them winning and pulling clear of the chasing pack. None of the 7 sides below them could win on Saturday, although Birmingham host Cardiff on Sunday, and Leeds, Leicester and Derby produced good wins to keep their playoff dreams alive. Coventry's win against Portsmouth was a massive boost for the Sky Blues, but leaves Pompey in deep trouble. They're now 6 points from safety. Doncaster's defeat at Southampton keeps them in 23rd place and 5 points away from Bristol City. Now, bearing in mind the clocks go forward tonight, the show's on the Red Button and on Freeview till 6 o'clock on Sunday morning. It's also on the iPlayer all week, and if you're after extended match highlights of each game, you'll be able to see them on the BBC Sport website. Now, there's plenty more football to get your teeth into on Sunday. As usual, Colin Murray will round up all the weekend's action from the Premier League and Match of the Day 2. That's at 10 on 2. And at 11:20, also on BBC 2, you'll be able to see highlights of the Johnston's Paint Trophy final. Steve and I will be at Wembley to see whether it will be Chesterfield or Swindon who walk off with the coveted prize. So I hope to see you in a few hours, but for now, from Steve and from me, good night.